Good Thursday afternoon. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Chris Harapsky. Happening right now in the Middle East, fighting that has raged on for more than 2 years in Gaza is creeping closer to an end. Israel's government approving phase 1 of a ceasefire deal brokered by the U.S. with the Hamas terrorist group. Israeli hostages that have been in captivity since the war started are expected to be released soon. In return for those hostages and the remains of those killed, Israeli soldiers will begin withdrawing from Gaza. President Trump says he plans to travel to Egypt for the signing of the ceasefire. Here's the president today on the deal.
We secured the release of all of the remaining hostages, and they should be released on Monday or Tuesday. Getting them is a complicated process. I'd rather not tell you what they have to do to get them. There are places you don't want to be, but we are getting the hostages back on Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday. And that'll be a day of joy. I'm going to try and make a trip over. We're going to try and get over there.
The agreement comes 2 years after Hamas led terrorist attacks in Israel that killed 1,200 people. Since then, more than 67,000 people have been killed in Gaza, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. A look from Washington, D.C. today, where a new round of federal workers are starting an indefinite furlough as the federal government remains shut down with no end in sight. And instead of working to find common ground, lawmakers have shouting matches in the halls, and all legislative business has ground to a halt. NBC's Ryan Nobles is on Capitol Hill with more.
We've now entered day 9 of the federal government shutdown, and there is no sign of any progress. In fact, things seem to be going the wrong way. Yesterday on Capitol Hill, we saw lawmakers confronting each other in the hallways, yelling at each other over the progress of these talks without any real sign of true negotiations. The problems seem to be the same. Democrats are insistent that they want some negotiation around health care, while Republicans are unwilling to take that step until they pass a short-term spending plan to get the government back open. As it stands right now, the Senate voted yet again on a plan that would do just that. It did not pass. They're expected to do it again today with the same result. Meanwhile, we're fast approaching the October 15th date where military members will miss out on their first paycheck. And there's no real end in sight to this shutdown.
Right now, National Guard troops are on the ground in Chicago. The National Guard members from Texas and Illinois have been there all week. The Trump administration is arguing troops are needed to protect federal agents and property. Local officials say the presence of the soldiers is only making tensions worse. NBC News is reporting that White House officials are having serious discussions about invoking the Insurrection Act that would allow the deployment of active duty troops wherever the administration wants to send them. It seems likely every week we're finding out about another massive fraud case in our state, from cases involving hundreds of millions of dollars to cases involving $100,000. Each case is unique. Investigators say there are common themes in each one. Today, Gordon Severson is asking the question, what can be done to stop it?
The story has become all too familiar.
A story of fraud that pops up nearly every time you turn on the news, it seems, with major fraud cases and millions of dollars.
I've literally run out of ways to express what is happening in our state and in our state programs.
The problem is clear, but the solution is a little more complicated.
It's a lack of controls. It's a lack of prevention.
Mike Olson is a former Secret Service agent who spent years investigating fraud. A big problem he sees is a lot of government entities are relying more heavily on technology.
I absolutely think the pandemic has played a part in this. We've gotten so used to just dealing with a device in front of us and not having that personal engagement and interaction.
And having human beings double and triple check payments coming in and going out. He says another issue is employees often don't feel like they can report fraud if they see it.
Give a voice to their employees and ensure that when they report something, they can remain anonymous, and let employees know that, in fact, anything they report is taken seriously.
Some lawmakers also feel that more oversight is needed. At the state capitol last session, the Senate approved the creation of a new state inspector general's office that would have the power to investigate state agencies for fraud. The idea didn't make it through the House, but lawmakers are expected to debate the idea again next session, and Olson thinks it's a good idea.
I think anytime you take the audit function and fully remove it from an entity itself, it has the potential to have more transparency and accountability and better governance.
Olson says it's easier and faster to have just one person or one department have complete control over the finances. But it's also easier to miss things or to take advantage of the system if no one else is watching.
They get tempted because of no controls, no random audits, no random check-ins by leadership or supervisors, and they become tempted. They get away with it once, and they do it again and again. Pretty soon it becomes, well, nobody cares.
Gordon Severson reporting there. Fraud isn't just a problem in Minnesota. According to the U.S. Government Accountability Office, more than $160 billion in fraud was reported by federal government agencies last year. More than half of that involved Medicare and Medicaid. Right now, Minneapolis police are looking for the suspect in a deadly shooting and also calling on Bar Zia to reevaluate its security. Police say multiple fights broke out just before midnight Tuesday at the bar, just blocks away from U.S. Bank Stadium. They say the fight escalated and someone opened fire. Police say a 21-year-old man died at the scene. The 3 others who were shot were taken to the hospital and are expected to survive. When addressing the violence, Chief Brian O'Hara said the police and the bar worked together to enhance security just 2 years ago.
Those measures, it appeared, had resolved those issues at the time. However, in the last few weeks, there has been an increase in calls for service related to this bar, and we are working with bar management to evaluate security.
We checked it out right before the news here, and there's no update on any arrests. Police ask anyone with information to call them. New documents reveal the man accused of posing as a fake White Bear Lake High School student is now being investigated for several possible sexual assault incidents. Jennifer Hoff also spoke to the family he's been living with, who say they fear for his safety and their own.
A new search warrant tonight revealing police have now seized Kelvin Lepke's cell phone, the 22-year-old accused of pretending to be a White Bear Lake High School student. The officer writing, it will likely show evidence of several crimes. This after the document also says multiple parents of students called police to report possible sexual assault incidents. That same document showing the news only broke after a parent told police her daughter recognized Lepke as a fellow student in a mugshot from another case, but using a different name. The family he was living with now speaking out about the allegations for the first time, their identity concealed after expressing safety concerns.
He firmly believed he was high school age.
Why did he have that belief?
He got a birth certificate from his biological father in Liberia, which states he was born in 2007.
The school superintendent sending a statement to families, writing federal law requires districts enroll students if they can't provide standard documentation, saying Lepke had a birth certificate from another country and no reason to believe it was fake, spending 19 days at the school.
Do you know where he's staying?
Yeah. So I've got him in a place where he can be safe. I've lectured him. You know, it's like, no, you're over 18, and if you're messing around with girls that are under 18, that's a crime, period. You need to not do that.
So did that lecture come after the news reports came out?
That's been since he started staying here.
So there's a history of him having some sort of contact with underage girls.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at social media, there's a million boys in the U.S. that are having contact with underage girls.
Lepke isn't facing any charges in this case yet. Police calling it a lengthy investigation with many moving parts. Jennifer Hoff, KARE 11 News.
Wow. Lepke was arrested last week, but for violating his probation from an incident of indecent exposure, which he was convicted of 2 years ago. The Washington County Jail confirming that he's since been released. New this afternoon, crews are battling a wildfire in northern Minnesota that officials say has grown to 50 acres. It's on the east side of the George Crosby Manitou State Park, which is about an hour and a half north of Duluth. The park has a lot of remote campsites. It's popular for people looking to see all the fall colors. So far, there are no closures associated with the fire, and right now it is not clear what caused it. New this afternoon, a legacy is coming to an end at the Minneapolis Fire Department. Chief Brian Tyner, who's been with the department for 30 years, the last 5 as its chief, is retiring at the end of the year. Tyner grew up on the north side of Minneapolis, and in a statement from Mayor Frey said, quote, never stopped giving back to the community that raised him. Tyner's last day as chief will be December 31st. After that, he will join the Minneapolis Phyllis Wheatley Community Center as its executive director. Congratulations, Chief. Appreciate your service. Stick with us. We got more news and weather coming up after the break.